Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation, Gauri Mahalla Panjava, Khada Painda Mukar Pai, Tisno jo hai doot dharm rai, Tissyon bemukh जिन जियो पिंड दीना, कोट जन्म भरम है बहु जूना रहाओ। साकत की ऐसी है रीत, जो किछ करे सगल विपरीत। जियो प्राण जिन मन तन धारिया, सोई ठाकर मनो बिसारिया। बदे बेकार लिखे बहु कागर, नानक उदर कृपा सुख सागर। पार ब्रह्म तेरी शरणाए, बंधन काट तरे हर नाए रहाओ दूजा। This sabad is about what we call the sakat, what Gurbani calls the sakat. Now the word sakat has many connotations, including a cart, a burrow. It also represents power, confusion, or one who is out of rhythm. Now, all of these contexts, the word encompasses, but from a Gurmat perspective, sakat is generally used to address those who are confused, confounded, as well as the siddhas, who are worshippers of power, shakti. And the siddhas focus on perfection of the body as a means to spiritual achievement. And that is not the way of Gurmat. So the Guru is really talking about why it is not the way of Gurmat. So he begins by saying, Khada Painda. Khada is to eat, to consume, Painda to wear, to adorn, Khada Painda Mukar Pai, one who eats and drinks but denies. And who is being denied? It is the essential self, the creator self, who's the provider of this sustenance. So the Guru says that you eat and drink, but it never crosses your mind to acknowledge the source of your sustenance. And what he says then is, Tisno jo hai doot dharm rai. Then, for people who do not acknowledge the self, by which the Guru means that those who cannot see past eating and drinking, they are constantly under the watch of the messenger of death, Doot Dharam Rai. So the watchful eye of the messenger of death means that you are then fixated in some shape or form on your dying, and that arouses existential angst in your mind, anxiety. So Johe Doot Dharam Rai means being subjected to the temporality of time. We are constantly aware the subjective experience that we have of time as past, present, and future. So in such a situation, one is always racing towards the future, towards one's end, so to speak, death. And that is the source of all our troubles. So clearly the Guru says, if your life is confined to simple consumption of food, drink, meaning consumption of sensory pleasures, and you don't see beyond that, then you can be assured that the fear of death is a constant in your life, and therefore anxiety and fear is a constant in your life. And in the Rahau Pankti, the Guru extends this argument further by saying, this is be-mukh. From that one, you are be-mukh, meaning you have turned your face away. In other words, you don't see it. You don't acknowledge it. You're limited in your vision. This is be-mukh, jin hu jio pind dina. Jio pind is body. Jio is the breath, the essence, the being within. It's saying your body, the source of this human structure, it hasn't crossed your mind. And he says, if you live in this kind of consciousness, then what is going to happen? Kot janam parmeh. Parmeh is delusion. Kot janam, many lifetimes, meaning a long time. Bahujuna, you are going to be in delusion for a long, long time. In other words, you are digging your own hole. And to understand and make sense of our temporal existence, one has to project one's life towards and beyond the horizon of Haume consciousness, you see, towards the inner self, which is boundless, because Haume consciousness is conditioned, it is bound, it is limited, and so in order for us to make sense of this Haume consciousness, we have to project beyond it. And that beyond is the inner self, which Bani calls Ram, that has attributes like Har, Prab, Gopal. Because if we don't, then we are going to remain in that delusion. And we cannot resolve the riddle of Haume existence without projecting beyond it. And so when we encounter the timeless, the transcendent within us, we are then able to make sense of our finitude. Otherwise, we are constantly struggling with that idea. Finitude scares us. But once you see the whole picture, you're scared by finitude because you're not seeing the big picture. But once you do, then you can live a truly authentic existence. But, and here comes the sakat. Sakat ki aisi hai reet. Such is the way of the confounded. I have used confounded here because it's a more generic term than specifically the Siddhas. Sakat ki hai aisi reet. Sakat ki aisi hai reet. Reet, way, their method, the way of living. Such is the way of the confounded. Jo kich kare, whatever the sakat does, sagal vipareet, it is conflicted and contrary to what the right way is. So to be a contrarian is to identify with Haume consciousness, because the sakat is obsessed with the body, senses, caught in this sensory prison. In the third verse, the Guru is emphasizing the same point again. Jio pran jin man tan tarya. Jio pran. Sui thakar mano bisarya. The master, meaning the creator, who is the breath of life and supports the body-mind, mantan, has been forsaken. That is why the sakat is in the boat that the sakat is in, because Sui Thakur Mano Bisarya, The master has been forsaken. You don't see the master. And living in such a way, you're simply multiplying your errors and creating for yourself a rather thick ledger of accounting, because you are accountable for your decisions, for your choices. And so by acting in error, you're simply compounding your problems. So that's what is meant by bade bekar. Bekar means defects, errors. Bade, they increase. Likhe baho kagar. Kagar is paper on which likhe, you've written. In other words, you're compounding your accounting. The accounting of your actions is being compounded. Nanak udar kripa sukh sagar. Nanak is here saying or proclaiming that it is only through compassion that one is saved and reaches the ocean of bliss. In other words, if you want to get out of your current fixations, you have to, it is through compassion of the Guru. And in conclusion, Par Brahm Teri Saranaye, Bandhan Kaat Tare Haranaye. It's an appeal to that transcendent creator, Par Brahm. I seek your refuge. Par Brahm Teri Saranaye. Give me self-knowledge, Haranaye, so that I can break free from my bondage, Bandhan Kaat, and swim across. Swimming across simply means to pierce through this level of consciousness, body consciousness, that we primarily live in. On that note, until the next time, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.